It's a beautiful day to blaze some good, a beautiful day to blaze some good. Would you be kind? Please light mine.
Roll up.
All right. Yep. Today's episode of Beans and Greens is going to be actually different. It's going to be the laughing with a ghost episode. Now, typically what I was supposed to, or what I was doing, was obviously 2 a week, right? 2 podcasts. So one being the movie, which is Tuesday, and then Thursday, Laughing with Ghosts. And it was to basically balance it out, from the misery of analyzing movies that are catastrophic, or those catastrophic sort of consequences that we deal with. And then, Thursday, listening to comics who, I mean, let's the comics have passed on, so I mean it is still a little bit sort of hard, but at least it's supposed to balance it out to give it some kind of levity within the podcast. So it's been a while, and there's a few segments that I want to go over, and a couple of guys I want to go over. So just real quickly, briefly, just to sort of go back over how I came up with the Laughing with Ghosts segment of the podcast. It was just basically listening to one particular, it was like replays of this one particular radio show. And they were like a morning radio show, pretty notorious. And what happened was you had this comedian that frequented the show, and he passed on. I don't know if he was, I wish he was more legendary, but at least amongst the people that know he was legendary. As a matter of fact, there was a lot of stuff that he put in his comedy specials that people were using for a while as sort of like a premise to run their whole podcast. And of course, that comedian is Patrice O. And I listened to all these playlists, right? It's like a playlist, like over 100 videos of or 100 appearances on Opie and Anthony radio show. So I it's like over 100. It's like a bunch of different ones. I listened to a bunch of them, but that's the ones with Patrice, right? So he had, by the time I'd already started listening to it, he had already passed on. Now you fast forward to, I think it was like 2019, just like right before or around or before the pandemic. It was just the Opie show now, which is just weird, but it went from Opie and Anthony to the Opie show. And he had on a separate set of comedians, right? It was 3 of them. It was actually 2 comedians and one was a TV personality. So you had Vic Henley, Sherrod Small, and Carl Ruiz. So obviously, if you're a fan of comedy, I'm saying, you would know Vic Henley and Sherrod Small, the comedians. And then Carl Ruiz, he was sort of like the wild card. He was personality from Food Network. He did a lot of stuff with Guy Fieri and shit. Fieri. But as it turns out, after they were doing the show disbanded and nobody got fired. So they were doing the podcast. Basically, they would, instead of doing a radio show, they were doing a podcast. And then it just happened that Carl Ruiz passed away. Then Vic Henley passed away. And it was crazy because I go back and listen to it. And that's where I'm getting this whole idea of Laughing with Ghosts, because there's one guy, Opie, because he was on both shows. He was around so many, and if you listen to him, these people were impactful on his life, but just impactful in culture, period. Around so many people that had passed on, a lot of comedians. So it was Patrice, Carl, and these are and Vic Henley, these are people that he was close with. And then, I mean, you could even go back and listen to episodes of Opie and Anthony where you have it's the most ominous shit. It's Patrice O and damn, why am I blanking on dude's name from Soundgarden? I don't know. What reason could I be blanking on Chris Cornell's name? so it's like an episode, right? And you're hearing like they're interviewing Chris Cornell and Patrice is there. You know what I mean? And there are so many so many other episodes. Like I think one of the last interviews with Greg Giraldo also. And there are just so many of these, like, I for me anyway, impactful comedians and in some cases personalities that have passed on. And this one guy, was sort of experiencing all of that. Even what's his name? Gilbert Gottfried on the Opie show before even Gilbert Gottfried passed away. There was he would go back and forth with another comedian. He's with us still, and I think I'm gonna play him because I'll go over him in just a second. But there was episodes where Craig Gass is the comedian I'm talking about. Him and Gilbert Gottfried were going back and forth. So, and then I think the Opie show was one of the last interviews for Gilbert Gottfried before he passed. So many people in this that had a deep social impact of at least the 90s, somewhat in some of the 2000s as well, at least up to 2019. This one guy sort of Forrest Gumped his way through this sort of social. I don't want to say zeitgeist. I don't know, zeitgeist. I don't know why that word's in my head, but sort of social. I don't know, scene. Hell, there's even an instance where he was part of an issue, sort of an issue they had where Breitbart, and if anybody knows Breitbart, he was I think he created the Breitbart paper and shit like that. They were sort of part of getting he had pictures, like dick pics, for Anthony Weiner, and they were part of getting that sort of released. Opie and Anthony. So, like I said, you had this one guy that sort of like Forrest Gumped his way through these social situations that. I don't know. Maybe don't seem so monumental to some people, but then again, for what I'm about to play, it's got to have some social impact to somebody, really. So it's pretty crazy. So first thing is, before I even get into the comedians, I did want to do a segment, because you know how we have all these Europeans coming to America and just utterly enjoying themselves on shit like not McDonald's, but Walmart, barbecue. They have some that, like, the shit that trips me out is like yellow buses. Like, everybody has rode a yellow bus at some point, unless you're like rich. But shit, so it's like all these things that we just seem normal and take for granted, sort of, they were flipping out over. But we have one other thing that in America is sort of leading the world in a sense. And that's, I mean, come on now. I mean, we have legal marijuana. And what's so crazy is where a lot of these World Cup matches were was where they have like the legal weed at. You know, like New York, New Jersey area. I think some places in Texas might have it, but they were like Seattle and shit like that. So all along the West Coast, so all these places that had like like not only do you have access to like the most potent shit, like the potent flower, right? But then you got lethal edibles. You know what I mean? And the thing is, with flower, obviously you can say, "Woof, I've had enough," and then put it down. And what's so crazy is we have creeper, so sometimes you misjudge it. So in that sense, you can get you can get, you know what I'm saying, you can caught with your pants down, so to speak. But what's even more misleading is the edibles. I'm sorry, you fucking, you know what I'm saying, you eating this good ass brownie, and next thing you know, you wake up, you wake up, 12 hours later, still high. Shit. For my own personal, like gummies that I make, you eat two, and motherfuckers, and then, like I said, if you can't handle it, you fall asleep. You wake up fucking 8 hours later, and you still zooted for another 8 hours. So that was the only thing, right? You figure somebody has to have video of European tourists who said, "Let me go ahead and dip and dab into some of the legal cannabis." No videos anywhere. I was hoping to make it a segment, to show like the correlation of some of the tourists, you know what I'm saying, partaking of the cannabis, and then hopping over to one of these places they've never eaten before. But there's no video footage. There's nothing. There's no testimony, no audio, nothing. There's like some footage of like where they put out pressers on the news and shit, so to warn the tourists about their potency. I gotta see some footage, man. So if this video can get to anybody, I need somebody somehow, some way to fucking send some video footage or links to some footage. I mean, I looked Facebook. I'm not on TikTok. I mean, I am, but I haven't. So I was on Facebook, fucking Google, Instagram. I mean, what else is there really? You know what I'm saying? Even X. And I can pull up porn on X, but no tourists fucking lighten up. So I mean, we got it. I want to do a whole segment on it and just bug out on it. I would love to see them just going nuts. They had like footage, like a couple of seconds of them burning a joint shaped like a gold cup, and it's just some warnings, and everything else is either in writing, but it was again no testimony. Nothing. I mean, nothing. Nobody. Come on now. Come on. Somebody was just puffing away. I mean, they do it in Europe too, because a lot of places, are connected or close to the Netherlands, and you know what I'm saying. I know. Come on. You can't tell me in places like England and shit. You know what I'm saying, that they got places where you could buy herbs, and I mean all them places. I mean, I remember, what was that movie, Train Spotting? It was about heroin addicts. So you mean they got heroin, but then they got no weed? Come on. Yeah, all those places, I've heard stories about like heroin in like Spain. There's a Spain, I think it was Greece, that had like a big subculture of heroin and shit. Which I mean, can be easy because they're closer to the, to Golden Triangle and where all this out there, you know, out there. I know the areas, but anyway, areas where heroin comes from, so it's a lot easier probably to get it. I mean, so probably definitely, but still, nobody growing any out there. I mean, nobody grew any like your own herbs in Greece, and I know because they have this like strain hunters series I saw online. So they were in places like Africa and stuff like that, like Morocco and places all over. And I think like Thailand is like legal as far as I understand. Like it's like legal. I mean, even edibles, they have like drinks in the shops. So I think they're probably one of the first that is just nothing. It's just get zooted. You know what I'm saying? So that's something, but you mean tell me other than being connected to the Netherlands? See, that's what I'm saying. You can't tell me because where the Netherlands get their weed from. You know what I mean? So they got to get it from growers and shit, and artisans. I don't know, but yeah, they got their own supply, so you can't. And a lot of the strains is some of the strains that we have here. So they even have a thing now where a section of California herbs. So where it's herbs specifically from California and whatever strains they can. So crazy visuals playing in the background. I could have just a regular static background, but this was the videos from my EP, and I get it. AR. The music isn't though. That's for sure. The music that's going along with that, which is why I wanted to use the AI stuff, because one, you have crazy visuals and shit, and this is early LTX, so it wasn't. There was no consistency in what you were tell them you wanted. I also mixed in regular. I mixed in some regular footage too, so there's a mixture of that. But anyway, the music is sort of abstract, and the visuals is abstract and big and bold. So that's what I don't know. Stuff I'm working on now. It's hard. It's getting hard because generative AI is not all of that like what people think it is. It's still, they're making it seem like it's the next wave of movie making, and which, I mean, honestly, it is. It's still kind of not there unless you're in the upper levels, and but for the rest of us, some of us got to utilize what we have. It's as simple as that. You know what I'm saying? I spend X amount of money a month to be able to generate these AI images. That's a lot of money to me right there. That's taking away from another bill I could be paying for, and I'm trying to work on this, use these visuals. So, you know what I mean? I don't have budget or know somebody who's an artist or team artist. And even when you do get with artists, they can draw the stills. What are you going to do? Upload the stills into the generative AI and then animate those stills. So that's something I'm going to, if I can get with the artists and stuff like that, it can generate images. I could take still images and then create whole projects of any size. And my thing with everything you see me do, Nice. Everything you see me do. Fuck. Yeah, but again, so my goal with everything you see me do, all the video and image generation, is just some way to push the music. And when I saw when I see, the thing was I was finishing up the Bizarrium EP, and those videos are on YouTube. I actually filmed them live, so they're under the live section. So there's a bunch of videos of me actually creating the music for Bizarrium. So I'm not one of those like, to go to Suno or this, that, and the other. Every sound that you hear is generated by me, and that was the whole point of all the videos anyway. Because like I do my cooking videos. That's my music in the background. My music to start off all the videos. So I mean, yeah, people gotta do what they gotta do. I just hate that maybe some people ain't gonna watch my stuff because the visuals are AI generated. All right, so I'm gonna have to pause. Crazy. I thought I had some technical difficulties. I sort of did, but it was more user. All right, so back to the laughing with Ghost. So for our first laughing with Ghost, um, I'm gonna go with the first person I mentioned, which was Patrice O'Neill. Now the reason being is because there, sometimes there are people that you kind of wish that were around now, so maybe you could either, in the case of say like Dimebag Darrell or Eddie Van Halen or something, so you could hear another riff from them. You know what I mean? Or I'm talking guys that I like, so like Peter Steele or ODB or or Big Pun. You know what I'm saying? Or Biggie. You kind of wish these guys were still around, so to sort of see what they would think of what's going on now, or in the case of like I said, the artist or whatever, to see what they would be able to present now. Now, in the case of Patrice O'Neill, there's one of the things that we deal with now so much is this whole idea of cancel culture, the whole idea of you can't say this, you can't say that, and especially trying to curb comedians. The whole thing of the whole idea that comedians could be going too far with the topics. Now, full disclosure, for what I'm about to play is something that at first had me sort of not, and this is what's crazy because it had me sort of not really want to listen to Patrice O'Neill so much because I don't know, I was being a dumbass, you know what I'm saying? Because this was around that time when Imus called those basketball players nappy headed hoes, right? And he was he was advocating for Imus not getting fired, right? And that was me back then, like, fuck this dude, he's a sellout, he's a this, he's a that, and didn't even really listen. And it wasn't just Imus, it was also something that some other not comedians, but radio sort of pundits and shit said also some stuff that Opie and Anthony, and they were catching flack for this stuff. And you know, I always thought I was a free speech guy. Regardless, I wasn't a comedian, so I wasn't coming from the comedian's perspective. I was, the musician. I mean, I'm always, with being a musician, it's about writing whatever topics. And I don't know, for me, it's not just about shock value, which a lot the music is out there was about shock value, but it was also about maybe the shock value, but there's a reason for it, you know what I'm saying? Or maybe shock value for not so much that it's shocking to you, it's just that it's a subject that people don't want to talk about, blase. So I was always sort of myself as somebody that would champion that. So when it came up to the issue with Patrice and him sort of advocating for Imus to keep his job, I was very hypocritical about it. Very hypocritical. I admit that. Especially now that I've gone back and listened to what he was saying. And sort of the battles he's had on the Opie and Anthony show with not just the host, but with a lot of the white guys that would call into the show. He would sort of had these racial ideas and the way that he can convey them, and it was crazy because you would see people that would call in and they're calling to listen. You would hear people you would hear people that would call into the show, and they would be sort of real emotional about their racial perspective, and by the time they hang up the call, they're like, "Oh, all right, I see what you're saying," and he would just walk people down and just, I mean, they would be on the ledge or ready to swing and go, you know what I'm saying, a couple rounds, and at the end they'd be like, even if they didn't believe him and still didn't believe his point and his theory, you know what I'm saying, they at least were calm enough to be able to find a common ground. So that's one of the things. Now, long-winded again, but what we're about to hear is him. This is on fucking live TV. I'm not going to show the visuals. I'm just going to play the audio. But this is him sort of going back and forth with this lady. She's like, I forgot what organization, but they'll say the organization when you hear it. And this is on Fox News. And they're having a, sort of banter about firing certain radio pundits or whatever for speech that she doesn't like. Now, the reason why that's relevant for today is because, and this is why this is one of the perspectives that I would love to see, is because right now, what he was fighting against or advocating against in not only his comedy, but in this interview he did, it's just, it has gone like super fucking, it's gone crazy. It's out of control now. It's like, it's crazy because even on YouTube, you know what I'm saying, some of the words you have to replace words with, and even to the point where there are whole podcasts that I just stopped watching because when they curse I hear a beep and I'm like, the fuck, this ain't TV. I know it's YouTube and they got guidelines, but I mean, we're fucking adults. When I upload my content, I upload it as an adult. And I put adult. So, I don't know. So anyway, this is I'm gonna play this. This is the interview. You can go see the actual interview online. So it's no big deal in that regards. But just to think what the fuck he just says and the way he conveys it on live TV. Anyway, let's go. I'm gonna. Of course, I gotta pull it up. There. All right, it's coming up.
O and A next.
I hope not. I hope JV.
wish JV and Elvis didn't lose their job or Imus. It's funny. This is the thing. I don't know her, but I'm assuming that she has nothing to do with funny. So I'm gonna speak as the expert on funny. Funny people should just be left to trying to be funny.
What if they're not funny?
Then you made a mistake. But how many times has how many unfunny rape jokes lead to rape? Like,
I don't know how many jokes about rape there are.
There's a lot. But your world is not funny. Your world is next on the big story. My world is people trying to be funny.
Well, I mean, you think it's okay to try to make jokes about rape?
I'm diabetic. I make fun of that. I'm a victim. I might lose a toe. But I'm trying to make fun of. I'm trying to make fun of anything I think I can make fun of.
Sonia?
You know, what's happening now is the marketplace is deciding what's appropriate or what's not appropriate. I think the nation is just tired. There's a new mood in the nation.
What nation?
The nation. You know what? We're tired of things that are just
Is this the nation, this paper, and you? I'm not the nation. I'm just speaking for me and funny. You're speaking for the nation, or are you speaking for...
Yeah, you know why? Because I remember 6 years ago doing something against Anthony Openy because they were just so outrageous, and their violent images that they put out to women was just uncalled for. And now I think people...
You think they were trying to be funny?
I think now people in this country
think they were trying to be funny?
Tired. You know what? I don't care if they're trying to be funny.
That's what I'm saying. Why are you in that business?
I've been to your show once, and it wasn't very funny being a woman.
It was
in your
hilarious.
Show, when you talked about...
That's why she doesn't like me. I was in the paper with her, and the joke is hilarious. It's called The Angry Pirate. And the lady who wrote it in her outrage didn't even know what it meant. And anybody who read it laughed because they know what funny... You're not living in the context of funny. You're living in the context of fire.
Have every right to be as funny as they want. They can go out and try to be as funny as they want, make as much money being as funny as they want. This is what's happening. There is a change in this country. People are realizing they have an opportunity to speak out, and advertisers are listening. Radio stations are listening.
Sonia, you're not talking to who I talk to.
And you're not going to get paid as much money anymore.
Sonia and Patrice,
that's
look
what
at
it
this.
is. The marketplace
More
is
CBS
speaking.
radio firings. They've been on a tear lately.
All right.
Are they cleaning house, or is this the PC cops run amok?
You know what it is, John. You know what it is while you're reading that paper. It's the PC cops run amok.
Do you think she's a PC cop?
Of course she is. She has an entire encyclopedia of her stance on it, but it's no passion involved. It's not a real, this just what she has to say. We are outraged and fired and fired and fired. Name calling. I'm outraged. I am outraged.
You should be outraged.
I am a fool. Now, if I called you a fool,
You know what? People are feeling a new sense of entitlement.
Who are these people
in this country?
Who are the people?
A new
How can
sense
you,
of entitlement
Patrice, so here's my question. How can you justify a bad joke, a joke that isn't funny? Oh, wait a minute.
Go ahead.
An attempt that isn't funny, doesn't get any laughs, and is about raping the first black woman to ever become the Secretary of State of the United States.
Throw that at me.
Well, why not?
The attempt is what I'm trying to fight for. The joke funny jokes and unfunny jokes are come out of the same birth. That you don't know if anything is going to be funny. You should attempt to be able to make anything funny.
Don't you think a joke about rape is doomed to be not funny?
Okay, so the lady's name is Sonia Osorio, and she's part of a women's organization. And so you see, this is going back early 2000s, and of course, a rape joke is distasteful. But I mean, there's got to be context to it. Something that extreme, there's always going to be some sort of context. You can't just willy-nilly say, saying rape. Although there was an episode where of Opie Anthony where it's not they making fun of the actual act itself, but the word. And see, the thing about this is when, and this is something that we know from 1984, right? And in 1984, one of the things they always did was every day they had this, the ministry, I forget it was like the ministry of, I forget what it's called, but what it was, the main character worked in this place, and every day he was instructed to change words, the meanings of words, and by changing the words, you're changing the impact of the words. You change the language, you change thought. You change thought. Now that means you then now control what images and what thoughts and what feelings people have. And that's what's so dangerous. So even though, okay, you say, okay, you make a rape joke, and that's distasteful, but the whole idea of changing language is mind control, and it's very dangerous because then now you get into a world of idiocracy. So it's just crazy. And this is one thing you notice because listening to George Carlin, he talked about this when they had the term shell-shocked, right? Shell-shocked, you heard that term, it evokes sort of feelings of something that's, I mean, shocked. I mean, it's the words were specifically created to evoke that, like, that this person really went through some shit. Then they changed it to PTSD, and it doesn't have as much bite as shell shock does, and it sort of pacified the term, made it more PC. See, so it doesn't evoke as much emotion from you, the person not going through, PTSD or being shell shocked. You don't have the same emotion from that word from when you heard it was shell shocked. Anyway, let's get back.
Possible, but I've heard them.
You've heard a funny rape joke?
I say a couple. Watch my HBO special. I'm pretty good at it.
Yeah, Patrice says that if you're having sex with a woman, doggy style, and if you
Wrong.
hit her in the head just the right time.
No, it's ejaculate in her eye and kick her in the shin, and she walks around like, arg! It's the angry pirate. That's what she was trying to say.
A violent act of hitting her in the back of her head, her body.
It's called the donkey punch.
Which will then.
Why are you laughing? She's outraged. It's called the donkey punch. It's whole humor that she has
laughing.
no clue what it is.
You have the same problem that Opie and Anthony does.
The whole time that this Sonia Osorio lady is bringing it up, every time he corrects the term, you hear the person. It was like a producer or a cameraman laughing, right? She's got a big ass smile on her face. So, I mean, come on. She don't even believe her own bullshit. I implore anybody that watches this, go watch the actual footage. The lady describes the sexual act, and she's laughing as Patrice clears it up.
You can't say just anything on the air.
You can say anything you want. It might not be funny. You might get in trouble for it, but you should be able to be attempting. And plus, when is a crazy bum going to get an opportunity to rape the president? If the president's wife, John? It was trying to be funny.
All right, Patrice, why aren't I hearing Al Sharpton complain about this thing involving Congress?
Because it wasn't involving young black women.
Well, it's involving a very prominent black woman.
Well, where was she during young black? Everybody has their agenda.
I was there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right, excuse me.
But why am I not hearing from Sharpton?
Because it doesn't concern him. It's not concerning him. It's black. It's, you know, come on now. You know, Al Sharpton has his agenda, and it was perfect for Al. Young black women. And now she's representing just women in general. She's not representing the nappy hoe part. She's representing just the hoe. The nappy headed part, she has nothing to do with. Just the hoe.
Sonia?
You know what? Women have been abused publicly in the media for too long, and people are tired of it. This has been.
It's not only the point that he was getting at, because that's very important, but it's just the words he got on TV. See, now on the internet, these words have no impact. The fact that he got that stuff on TV and he was able to describe those sex acts on TV, this is and like I said, the lady was laughing and she didn't even believe her own bullshit. So, oh my God, that was the funny shit. And there's like some things that sneak on national TV. So, like when Slipknot did, I think it was Conan. Then you had Megadeth on Arsenio. I don't know if many people remember that. I barely do, but I vaguely, it's there. Megadeth on Arsenio Hall. You had Slayer on one of those shows. You had Knocked Loose just a few years ago on nighttime television, and then you have this stuff like Patrice. You have all these things that aren't normal for prime time or just anytime television. You know what I'm saying? Any sort of mainstream television, and these things made it. So it's these performances that are just like shit. So yeah, anybody watching this, I implore you, just go ahead and watch that, the full interview. You'll see what I'm talking about. The lady sort of fucks up the description of the sex act. So like I said, as soon as Patrice clears it up, you hear the people in the background laughing, and you'll see she's laughing. She knew she was. There was nothing more she could do. She was already in. So at that point, it's just. That's crazy. So there's another comedian I'd like to highlight. He also has passed. And this one, just because I love the idea behind I love what is behind the idea, what he's saying, especially, you know, when you're dealing with things that are hard, going on hard in life. You know, just lost a family member. You know, my uncle passed away, and you know, having to deal with the thoughts about that, you know, and then I almost did a few years ago. You know, I still dealing with issues with the mom and dad. You know, dad with 2 cancers. Mom is sick all the time. Me with heart disease. So yeah, man, it's above the surface. You know, things are hard. So this is something I've listened to before. I don't think I've listened to it on the podcast, but just the whole idea behind this makes things a little bit easier. So this is Bill Hicks. Let's check this out.
You never see positive drug stories on the news, do you? Isn't that weird? Since most of the experiences I've had on drugs were real fucking positive. Who are these morons they're finding? That's what I want to know. I used to want to call the news. Come over to our house. Watch Tommy. He's a pig. Film him. He's been doing that for hours. He's killing us. You getting all that? You know what I mean? Always that same LSD story. You've all seen it. Young man on acid thought he could fly, jumped out of a building. What a tragedy. What a dick. Fuck him. He's an idiot. If he thought he could fly, why didn't he take off on the ground first? Check it out. You don't see ducks lined up to catch elevators to fly south. They fly from the ground, you moron. Quit ruining it for everybody. He's a moron. He's dead. Good. We lost a moron. Fucking celebrate. Wow, I just felt the world get lighter. We lost a moron. Put on the Hammer album. I'm ready to dance. We lost a moron. I don't mean to sound cold or cruel or vicious, but I am, so that's the way it comes out. Professional help is being sought. How about a positive LSD story? Wouldn't that be newsworthy just once? To base your decision on information rather than scare tactics and superstitions and lies? Just once. I think it would be newsworthy. Today, a young man on acid realized that all matter is merely energy condensed to a slow vibration, that we are all one consciousness experiencing itself subjectively. There is no such thing as death. Life is only a dream, and we're the imagination of ourselves. Here's Tom with the weather. You've been fantastic, and I hope you enjoyed it. There is a point. Is there a point to all this? Let's find a point. Is there a point to my act? I would say there is. I have to. The world is like a ride at an amusement park, and when you choose to go on it, you think it's real, because that's how powerful our minds are. And the ride goes up and down and round and round. It has thrills and chills, and it's very brightly colored, and it's very loud, and it's fun for a while. Some people have been on the ride for a long time, and they begin to question, is this real, or is this just a ride? And other people have remembered, and they come back to us, and they say, hey, don't worry, don't be afraid, ever, because this is just a ride. And we kill those people. Shut him up. We have a lot invested in this ride. Shut him up. Look at my furrows of worry. Look at my big bank account and my family. Has to be real. It's just a ride. But we always kill those good guys who try and tell us that. You ever notice that? And let the demons run amok? But it doesn't matter, because it's just a ride. And we can change it anytime we want. It's only a choice. No effort, no work, no job, no savings of money. A choice right now between fear and love. The eyes of fear want you to put bigger locks on your door, buy guns, close yourself off. The eyes of love instead see all of us as one. Here's what we can do to change the world right now to a better ride. Take all that money we spend on weapons and defense each year and instead spend it feeding, clothing, and educating the poor of the world, which it would many times over, not one human being excluded, and we can explore space together, both inner and outer, forever in peace. Thank you very much. You've been great. I hope you enjoy it. London, you're fantastic. Thank
Well, isn't that sort of novel ideas? I don't know, man. Just thinking of, like I said, with the shit I'm going through, and just the idea that this is just a ride, man, and when I step off, it's another ride. Guess we just re-up. Maybe go back to where we were. I don't know. I sort of like the whole idea from like Lord of the Rings for the elves. You know what I'm saying? When you leave your body, you go to the Hall of, I think it's the Hall of Mendos, and you'll wait to be re-embodied. That means that you are more than just these bodies. I don't know. It is very much so relevant today, just as it is back then, because just the circumstances where we identify the fact that there's disparity with the poor, with being poor, and that we could use the resources to make the world better, as opposed to, I mean, it's never more shown, that's never more relevant than the time we live in now, where there's such a broad chasm between rich and poor, and then the erosion of middle class. So it's either rich or poor. It's either have or have not. It's not have not, and have some. Yeah. That's anyway. Enough of the sad shit. I'm gonna just give a little bit of a bonus now. And that's comedian I want to showcase. He's not dead. He is not a ghost. He is pretty much so alive. Now I think he's going through some stuff, but with this comedian though, I'm gonna play a short clip. Now, he's a big time impressionist. I think one of the most natural. He doesn't get a lot of notoriety in sort of mainstream areas, because you do have a lot of guys that are good. You have like Ari Spears, you have Godfrey, you have there's a couple other guys that you see that are more mainstream. I'm just the guys that I listen to. There's some guys that are not as well known for. I think he was another one, like Jay Moore is another one. But there's other guys that are not well known, that are better than a lot of the well known comedians at impressions. One of them is, especially also like voices. One is Freeze Love. I think I'm gonna put him in a future edition, but he's not a ghost either. He's still with us. That's right. But he's great at impressions, and he does the best Charlie Murphy impression ever. He sounds just like him. Like close your eyes and you hear Charlie Murphy. Now the next comedian, now the one I'm going to showcase, is Craig Gass. This motherfucker, yo, is so spot on. Now he's more in the rock heavy metal world, so he's known there, and he's sort of like the Forrest Gump. You know what I'm saying? He Forrest Gumps in that whole metal rock genre, especially metal, which I love because metalhead. And how I first heard of him was when he was back on he was on the last season of the Opie show, the one with, or the one that had Vic Handley, Carl Ruiz, and Sherrod Small. He would come in and guest host as well. So that was the first time I actually heard of him. And as I was saying earlier about Gilbert Gottfried, on this last season of the Opie show, there was a couple episodes where he was hosting with Gilbert Gottfried, and they just had this back and forth banter because he's an impressionist, and he picked up Gilbert Gottfried impression. So you hear him doing his Gilbert Gottfried to Gilbert Gottfried. Or he talks about stories, or even seen where, because one of the big ones he does is Gene Simmons, and he's doing Gene Simmons to Gene Simmons. Yo, I mean, he should be bigger for how good his impressions are, because he had issue with that actor Jay Moore, because because Jay Moore was supposed to be the guy who does Christopher Walken, but Craig Gass does a better Walken. Craig Gass sounds just like, I think Walken and De Niro are my favorites, but he's got them all down from like I said, Gene Simmons Paul Stanley even. So it's G. Simmons, Paul Stanley. I think he's done a Lars Ulrich. Of course, like I said, his walk-in is spot the fuck on. His De Niro, spot on. Tracy Morgan, spot on. I just think, I don't know, because I guess he's more of a white comedian. He's not more of, he is. That he doesn't necessarily run in the circles, the mainstream circles. Like I said, he's more metal circles, which is fine to me because he's awesome. And then hearing him on Opie Radio for that last year, got to go back and listen to those episodes. Anyway, listen to a little clip. I like people to hear. But I mean, it's been a while. I kept checking to see if he had stuff on the internet, and he has little spare things on the internet, especially really old things. But now he's got his own podcast with, it's like the bass player from Five Finger Death Punch, Beta on the Weirdo. I love it. Again, Metalhead. Anyway, let's just check this out. You're going to do some impressions.
The best way for
I don't have premium, so I got to wait for the damn commercial. So anyway, this is just a bonus.
I've always been able to do any kind of voice that I hear because of how I grew up. It's not a joke. It's a true story. Everyone in my family is deaf. My mom, my dad, and my sister are all completely deaf. So I couldn't learn how to talk from my family. I learned how to talk by copying all the voices I heard on TV. And I never got an accent from the Bronx. And everyone in the Bronx sounds like Tracy Morgan. Like, everybody in the Bronx talk like this. Whether you black or white, male or female, that's crazy.
That's hilarious, Craig. Yes, he grew up here in Arizona and has appeared on a lot of television shows like King of Queens, Las Vegas, and Sex and the City. We won't talk about that, though.
Yeah, that's a bad one. I described it off the air, and you went, what? Yeah.
I didn't remember that one. Yeah. And he is just, what an incredible gift you have, first of all, and what a unique way that you developed this.
Well, I grew up here in Arizona. I'm a comedian who's known for doing voices.
Yeah.
And I've always been able to do any kind of voice that I hear because I grew up in a deaf family. My mom was born completely deaf. My dad was born with all of his hearing
fast forward that
and
part.
lost it when he was a kid. So the voice, the easier it is for me to do it. Like Christopher Walken has a real stop and go kind of voice. Well, he'll talk every once in a while. He'll stop, and then he'll keep going. Or Adam Sandler, who's silly, you know? And he's very playful, and he sounds like a child. Shibby-doo, hee-hoo. Or Al Pacino, who sounds like he's been smoking enough to go through about 3 or 4 lighters a day. Yeah.
So it is no surprise that animated shows love to hire you. You can pretty much do it all.
God.
They only need one person, you.
Yeah, Family Guy. I'm a huge fan of Family Guy, and when they booked me to do the show, like every show I'd been on, King of Queens, Sex and the City, everything was a big show that I had done. I got really lucky. But Family Guy, I actually knew. I watched it every Sunday. So I walk in as a fan, and I creeped out Seth MacFarlane because I walked in and it was a quick recording session. The whole recording session was just me and Seth MacFarlane, and it lasted about 5 minutes. And Seth kept doing one line as Peter Griffin, where he kept saying, "This is crazier than when Al Pacino was a slumlord laundromat tenant." And they cut to me as Al Pacino, surrounded by a bunch of broken down washers and dryers, going, "You're out of order, and you're out of order, and you're all out of order." And I did that 3 times, and Seth is looking at me because he's running the board, and he goes, "All right, man.
Nailed it.
I think we're good." And I go, I'm really nervous because I think we're going to be friends now that we're working together. And I go, hey, so you want to hang out?
Lunch
and
or
he goes,
what?
What do you mean hang out? And I go, hey, you want to grab a coffee or something? And he goes, I got to work. And I go, oh, do you want me to leave? He goes, yeah, get the hell out of here. I go, oh, I'm sorry. I grab all my papers. I go, I'm sorry. And I ran out. And every time I come back now, Seth MacFarlane's never around.
Oh, no.
It's always a
Makes you
guy
stalker.
named Mike Henry who does the voice of Cleveland and the creepy old guy. And every time I see Mike, I'll walk in and I go, hey, Mike, is Seth around? And every time I see him, he goes, don't worry about Seth. We'll get you out of here real quick. Come on. We'll get you out of here really quick. Like, that says everything.
Well, hey, you're working in Hollywood.
Yeah, but at least I'm working. Yeah, the show's this weekend. It's one tonight.
Tonight at Stand Up Live.
Stand Up Live tonight. Then.
All right. Like I said, it's just a quick little bonus, just to lighten the mood up a little bit. Oof. Yeah, like I said, right away. Walking Pacino, and he does a young Pacino, and he does an old Pacino. I mean, Gene Simmons is off the hook. Everything. You got to go back and watch. So this was definitely a little bit different than shit. It's definitely a little bit different doing all those movies and dealing with the depressing topics of those movies. So, but next one's going to be depressing. So the next two actually is Jacob's Ladder and Idiocracy. So again, that ties into each podcast ties into the next one. And then to the next one for the next one. Because the Idiocracy. Anyway, I'll talk more about that when we do the movie. Day is long, sun is hot. Might as well smoke if you got some pot. I'm out.